Don't be scared, girl.
Oh my god, this is gonna suck.
What is the birth order of me and my siblings?
Tony, you, Jonathan, James.
No! I'm the oldest. I'm older than Tony.
What?
So it's me, then Tony, then Jonathan,
Oh my
then
god.
James. Well, today I figured maybe you can get to know me and why I am the way I am now. I remember as a younger girl, I did have a very, very hard childhood. My parents were drug addicts. They abused each other, neglected each other, but when I was 8 years old, my mom said that she was pregnant with her third child. I already had a brother, and he's younger, so I'm the older child, and I was really happy. I was thrilled, actually. I knew she was doing drugs with him. So when my brother was born, he was so adorable, and gosh, I loved him. As days went on, I did kind of take the role of being a parent in a way. I still remember one time in particular when my parents were on so many drugs that they were like passed out. My baby brother was crying, and I wasn't sure why, so I went into the room of where they were, and it was because his crib was by a curtain, and the curtain string was wrapped around his neck. I will never forget that day as long as I live. Even now it's emotional for me. His face was purple, he was screaming and crying, and to put it shortly, I had to save his life, and I did. And then I realized that I don't think my parents will ever change. I was a 9-year-old, and I was taking on the role of being a mother. So one day when I was at school, I think 3rd or 4th grade, I got a call to the office. There were police there, and I wasn't sure what was really happening, and come to find out, I was being put into foster care. I was being put into foster care with my one brother, but my little brother was being put into a separate home. After being in foster care for over a year, I was actually in a children's shelter for longer than that. I found out that my brother was actually going to be an adopted child. He was going to be put in closed adoption, which meant I would never be allowed to see him again. It broke my heart, and it still does. And it happened 12 years ago. In a way, I felt like my own child was being adopted. So it was just a hard time for me. After trying to accept it, I was thrown around into different foster homes and with my other brother, and soon we got separated. We were separated for a few years. It was very hard. A lot of the time I felt alone and just confused with life. When I turned 12, my parents finally decided to get their act together, and we went to court, and we had a 6-month trial to live with them. And that trial turned into 2 years. But it was a failed trial. The whole time my family was just getting worse and worse. I started smoking marijuana. I turned to the wrong type of people to hang out with. My brother started acting out. He started hitting me. My parents got worse. Their drug addiction went to a whole new level. We actually lived in a trailer. That's mainly what I lived. Whenever I lived with my parents, that's mainly where we lived. It was the smallest trailer ever. I ended up being put in a mental hospital. I didn't think I needed it. I was in the mental hospital for about 6 days, and obviously they diagnosed me with depression, which I already knew. I was diagnosed with depression since the age of 10, and I was taking antidepressants for I don't even know how long. But after I left the mental hospital, I took a whole new meaning of life because I saw people in there that were mental. I don't think I was meant to be there, but it did change my life. Somewhere in my younger years, my mom did have another child, and I held him once, and she put him up for close adoption the day he was born. I know my 2 brothers are out there, and more than anything, I just hope that one day they can look at me and I can look at them and we know that we're family. I miss them every day. Even if I knew one brother longer than the other one, I love them both equally. And more than anything, being able to see them again would mean the world to me. I was in class yet again, and I get called to the office. About school, I never went. I didn't care about school. Just not care. Like, I'd go and I wouldn't do any of the work. School was hard. I got made fun of every single day. Every day I was bullied. I was the smelly kid. I was the fat girl. That's how people knew me. I was Fat Amber. But as I was in class on one day, I got called to the office. The cops came, and yet again, me and my brother were being put into foster care. And I was just texting my friend, simply joking, saying I should live with you, because she was my best friend at the time. And little did I know, 2 months later, I was living with her. It was absolutely insane. I don't know how it happened. It happened so quickly, and honestly, at the time, I thought this was beginning to a whole new life that I was gonna love every minute of. But I was definitely wrong. Okay, so since I'm speaking about my family, alright, so if you guys go back and you guys remember all the videos I've ever talked about when I talk about my siblings, I always mention I have 3 younger brothers, but 2 were put into close adoption. So a lot of people guessed already, which I don't know how that's possible, but one of them found us. Yeah. What? So when it happened, I was shook to the core. So my Facebook is meant just for the people I know in real life, and I get a lot of messages on there, and I like never reply to them. And he had sent me a message. He didn't even know he had a sister. That is the part where I'm just like, oh, but honey, I held you when you were a baby, and I've loved you my whole life, and I've missed you my whole life. So it's so crazy. So he didn't even know I was his sister. That's so funny. He sent me a message on Facebook, and he was like, how can I get a hold of Christine, or something like that. That's my mom's name. I'm sure everyone knows that. So, I didn't even reply. I was like, who the heck is this? They're probably some troll. Like, I ain't got time for it. So I never replied. It was months later, my mom, I mean, this was back the last time I did Jenny Craig. You guys saw the video where I was like, okay, something super crazy happened. This is what it was. And so I get a call from my mom, and it was through Facebook where you could do video call. And like all my family was there in the call, and I was like, oh my God, what is going on? And they're like, guess who this is? And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, this is your brother. And you guys, if you would have seen me, if you literally would have seen me, I started bawling. Like, you don't even know. It was the craziest experience. Like, that is my little brother that I have waited for and hoped for like my whole life. It is, I literally have no words. And how he found out he was adopted, him, and I got permission to talk about this. Like, he's been begging me. He's like, mention me on your YouTube, mention me on your YouTube. And I'm like, whatever. It was such a brother and sister relationship. I love it. Oh my God. But how he found out he was adopted, him and his, adopted sister, his sister, they were in an argument when he was 9, and she yelled, well, you're not even my real brother. And he was like, what? So his parents were actually honest with him about it. So he waited all the way until he was 18, and his parents, hey, baby girl, his parents said, when you're 18, I'll tell you who your real mom is. So yeah, he's 18, and you guys, he is the cutest thing. Like, he's so cute, and he looks just like our other brother Tony, which is so crazy. Like, they look like literal twins. And I'm just like, what is life right now? And he's super talented. Like, he can draw like the best I've ever seen, and he sings, and like, it's just so crazy. Like, he's so talented. It's mind-blowing. And he's bisexual. Don't worry. He's like, you can tell them whatever you want. And I was like, I don't know if I want to make a video because this is like super special, but he really wanted me to talk about him. So I am. So it's like, I don't know, there's just so many things that are so similar. It is just wild. It is like I wish I could convey like how I feel better, but I just can't. It's more so like I'm just like speechless type thing. So on May 1st, I think, my mom and him met for the very first time. And he hasn't left since. She bought a round trip thing for him to be there for 7 days, and he hasn't left, and it's been almost a month. Love that. Sorry, did she ever say how old her new brother? Oh yeah, he's 18, so he is still young. Just turned 18, thinking, he knows the world. God, I love him. It's great. It's great. But my other brother, the one that's getting out of prison, he's 29. So yeah, your capacity for love is amazing. I want all the love, and I want to give all the love. Is he going to visit this summer? I would love that, but I feel like wait, which one? I want them all to visit. But now I still have one other brother out there, Jonathan. And Jonathan, actually, I took care of when I was like 8 and 9. He was just a baby, and I actually saved his life one time. I actually made a video about that. So I have like a really big, strong connection to him. Do I think he'll reach out? I don't. And I think it's because he doesn't know he's adopted. And that happens a lot because it's like, I'm going to call him James because that was his name. His parents did change his name. The brother, the 18-year-old that I'm talking about now. So James, would he have known if it wasn't for that argument between him and his sister, you know? So it's like, I think about stuff like that. And it's like, Jonathan probably doesn't know because he probably never had the opportunity, or his parents didn't want him to know. Or maybe he does know and he's like, you know what, I don't care. Like, I don't care about who my real family is. Not real family, but blood family. Because some people are like that, you know? Which I understand, but oh my God. I would give up so much to be able to meet him. And, you know, I searched for them online literally all the time. And I know this is going to sound like super creepy, and it's like you have to be in the situation to understand. Like, I would search their name into like Facebook, and so many would pop up. And I would sit there and I would stare at each picture, and I'd be like, do I feel a vibe? Do I think that's them? Do they look like me? Do they look like my mom? Or, you know, and I never felt it. And then when my 18-year-old brother found us, I look at him and I'm like, that is the feeling that I've been searching for. Like, looking at him and being like, wow, he's literally a twin to my other brother. Like, you know, you try to find this feeling, and yeah, it's so crazy. Like, I always think like, okay, if he would have popped up during one of my searches, would I have felt that way? 100%, because he literally looks exactly like my brother Tony. It's so crazy. What if he's a viewer and doesn't even know? He actually, oh yeah, Jonathan, that would be crazy. Jonathan, if you're out there and you live in California and you were adopted, I think you're like 19 now. When I was 8 years old, my mom said that she was pregnant with her third child. I think you're like 19 now. I'm your sister. And I took care of you. And I loved you like you were my own. And I was only 8 years old. God, it breaks my heart. And you had a hearing aid, and you had glasses, and you were the cutest little baby ever. That would be crazy. But yeah.